Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so welcome to our second career session with Technocamps. So we are recording this, and we are live. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to make sure that each of our speakers gets to explain who they are, where they're from, and what they do, and what their link is to careers. And obviously our focus today is on STEM careers. So that's what we're going to be looking at: STEM careers, STEM and the skills that we need to get into STEM careers in the future, and what support is out there for you in schools and in HE, so in university as well. So if you want to give us a wave. So we've got Angela Jones, who is from North Powys region, and she's also a Welsh speaker, so she's going to be doing some of her presentation in Welsh. We've got Rhys Davies from the Swansea area from Careers Wales. We've got Natalie Lewis there with a lovely green background from USW, and she works for Go Wales, and she'll explain what that project is in a moment. And we've got Ruth Morgan there, also from USW, from University of South Wales, and she's the STEM careers advisor for our STEM faculty. So she'll go into more details about that later. So the first people we're going to talk to are our Careers Wales guests. I think Rhys is going to start with the introduction and then hand over to Angela. So off you go, guys. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's just a brief start just to explain who Careers Wales is. If you're in school, you are probably familiar with Careers Wales. We are a subsidiary of Welsh Government. We provide all-age, independent and impartial careers information and advice guidance services. We work with young people such as yourselves to help you make successful transitions from education to training and potential employment, as well as helping people of all ages to follow their career, employment and learning goals. Personally, I work across several schools in the Swansea area, and there is a dedicated careers advisor in every mainstream and special school in Wales. As a careers advisor myself, and my team provide direct careers guidance through one-to-one and group sessions, coordinated careers activities, and employer events. We support people like you to think about 5 key skills that you will need to take with you on your career journey. Like before any journey, you will need to pack the things you will need for the trip. For your career journey, the things you will need to pack include things such as, number 1, the right mindset. Ask yourself, am I motivated, adaptable and resilient? Can I bounce back from setbacks? The second thing you'll need to pack is good decision making. Do I think things through, or do I act intuitively? Or perhaps a bit of both? Who can support me with my decisions? Number 3, self-awareness. This is all about knowing yourself. What can I offer an employer? What are my strengths and weaknesses? Number 4 is opportunity awareness, knowing what's out there in the world of work. Finally, you will need to know how to make it happen. So my job as a careers advisor is to support young people such as yourselves to start developing these skills so as to help you find your way through the labour market of the future.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Angela, and like Rhys, I am also a careers advisor working in schools. Rhys has spent a lot of time explaining to you what our role is, so I'm not going to repeat that. But my job really is to support young people to plan their careers paths and to achieve their goals. I work in 3 bilingual schools in North Powys. The area I work in is very different to Rhys because he works around a city. It's very rural, and therefore the employment opportunities differ from those in a city. I come from an area where there's lots of farming, and the main employers are the local authority and the NHS. So there are STEM opportunities within those sectors. However, in the rural towns, there are many more opportunities to enter engineering and manufacturing industries. Helo, benwi yw Angela. Dwi hefyd yn gweithio fel cynghorydd gyrfa mewn ysgolion. Rwy'n gweithio i gefnogi pobl ifanc i gynllunio eu dyfodol ac i lwyddo yn eu golau. Rwy'n gweithio mewn 2 ysgol ddwyieithog yng Ngogledd Powys. Mae'r ardal yn wahanol i le mae Rhys yn gweithio. Mae'n ardal wledig ac mae'r cyfleoedd gwaith yn wahanol. Mae yna lawer o ffermio a cyflogwyr mwyaf yn yw'r awdurdod lleol a'r gig Cymru, ond mae yn gyfleoedd STEM a'r cyflogwyr hyn yn y trefi gwledig, lle mae yna amryw o gyflogwyr peirianneg a gweithgynhyrchu. As Rhys mentioned, careers advisors are part of a team who work with schools. You might be familiar with another member of the team in your schools, the B, or the Business Engagement Advisor, who is responsible for working with schools to arrange industry days, employer visits, and careers-related events either at school or locally. Fel y dywedodd Rhys, mae cynghorwyr gyrfa yn gweithio fel rhan o dîm. Efallai rydych chi yn adnabod aelod arall yn eich ysgol, sef y B, neu'r cynghorydd cyswllt busnes, sy'n gyfrifol am drefnu diwrnodau diwydiannol, ymweliadau cyflogwyr a ddigwyddiadau perthnasol i gyfaidd yn eich ysgol neu yn eich ardal. Later on, we will talk more about STEM careers, what STEM opportunities you will find in Wales, and what skills you might need to enter a STEM career. Nes ymlaen, byddwn ni'n siarad mwy am yrfaoedd STEM, cyfleoedd STEM sydd ar gael yng Nghymru, a'r sgiliau fydd angen arnoch i fynd i mewn i yrfa STEM. Diolch. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Angela and Rhys. So that was just sort of a general look at what they do. Hopefully you're familiar with Careers Wales and you know the name Careers Wales, and you've got a careers advisor in school that you're aware of, even if you haven't spoken to them yet, fingers crossed. So Natalie is going to speak next, and she is for a project called Go Wales that I have actually worked with through Technicamps. So she's just going to explain to us what Go Wales is and what support it offers. Thanks, Natalie.
No problem. I'm just going to see if I can share my slides with you. Bear with me a second. Fab. Okay, so myself and Ruth, we work for USW Careers. So if any of you are interested in higher education, then please come and speak to the careers team at the university, as we'll be able to explain to you the support that would be available. So my name's Natalie Lewis and I work on the Go Wales programme at the University of South Wales. Now, the Go Wales programme runs in all universities across Wales and helps students to understand the world of work. At USW, I work with students who are studying STEM-related subjects, so subjects such as computing, forensic investigation, aeronautical engineering, civil engineering, and math. So a really varied different topics and subjects there. So my role is to support students who may be worried or lack confidence when it comes to the world of work. So the students that I work with may not have had any part-time work before they started university, or may have not ever been on any work experience. So maybe don't have a very good understanding of what employers expect from them when they are applying for graduate jobs. So my role is to support those students, to give them a helping hand and work with them at their own time. It's very flexible to allow them to gain a better understanding of the world of work. So there is criteria the students need to meet to be eligible for the programme. So I work with students who may have a disability. I work with students who may be carers or are care leavers. I work with students who are from Black minority ethnic groups, and there's lots of other criteria as well that can make you eligible for the programme. What I'll do, I'll drop the Go Wales website into the chat box, or it is actually Go Wales, just turn over, .co.uk. So really simple, www.gowales.co.uk, and you can find out more information about the programme there. So what does Go Wales do? So we find work experience opportunities for students that actually fit around the students' studies in their own time. The project is student-led, so it suits the needs of that particular student. And we work with students on a one-to-one basis and ensure that those conversations are confidential. So I meet with my students on a regular basis every few weeks throughout the year, and we touch base on the support that they require when they have the time around the studies to fit that in. We offer tailored work experience opportunities. So those opportunities can be, for example, 1 day a week over the 6 weeks of the summer holidays. It could be 2 weeks during the Easter break, or 2 or 3 weeks during the summer break. The opportunities are all really flexible, depending on what the employer can offer, and obviously what the student can do as well, and what they would like to do. We also offer lots of other employability support to enhance the support available to the students. So we help with CVs, we help with applications, job exploring, looking at different organisations within that career sector to generally help that student gain a better understanding of what's available for them when they start looking for work and graduate from the university. So I just wanted to share with you some feedback from the students. So I have some quotes here. So some of the students have said, my confidence has increased. I've gained valuable, relevant work experience. I met professionals in my career sector. We also arrange meet the professionals or ask the professional talks. A lot of those over the last year have actually been online because some students haven't had the opportunity, depending on the sector, to actually go in physically and meet the employers in their workplace. So we've done a lot of virtual opportunities over the last year, but hopefully that will change as things move on. So also we've had students say, I now have a better understanding of the recruitment processes and the world of work. We've had students say that the mock interviews we provide have been really helpful and help them prepared, ready for when they have their interviews. I have students who say they now have a graduate level CV and they didn't have one previously. Should have signed up sooner, and such a positive experience. So all I would like to reassure to some of the students out there or pupils who are thinking about further education or higher education is not to worry, don't panic. There's lots of support out there for you. As the careers advisors from Careers Wales have just mentioned, there's support from local authorities and their employability teams there. There's support in further education and higher education. So please don't worry. All I suggest is contact the careers departments at these institutions and they'll be able to let you know and provide further information on the support that would be available to you. So I'm going to hand you over to Ruth now. I'll stop sharing my slides and Ruth can tell you about the support available from the careers service at USW. Laura, is that okay, or did you want to?
That's brilliant. No, I think an important part of this to highlight is that if you can't get work experience at the moment, so because of COVID and, you know, because of the way things have been for the last sort of 18 months, it's been tough for some students and pupils in schools, and work experience has really, you know, not been possible. So I think it's important, even if you don't manage to get work experience, you can still get it when you go on in your education. It doesn't need to hold you back and you don't need to worry so much about it. You know, there's opportunities out there. So there's always opportunities at different levels, whether that you're an FE at college or if you're going on to university. So it's a good thing to keep in mind.
What I would say though, Laura, is that if you do have the opportunity to get a part-time job, you know, once you're 16, to work in the summer or whilst you're in college or university, obviously take those opportunities because employers are keen to see those key employability skills that you would be developing during those roles.
Yeah, and that doesn't have to be a job that you want to do for the rest of your life. No. It just to show that you've got that responsibility of holding down a job. You understand how to work with customers, or you know depending on what your job is. So yeah, all of those skills are really important, aren't they, to develop?
Definitely. And I say that to students all the time. They might come to me and say, Natalie, I don't have the experience. And I say, but let's talk about where you've worked previously. And they do have that experience and those transferable key skills then that employers are looking for. So yeah, definitely. But if you don't panic, don't worry. That's why we're here.
Yeah, definitely. Right, I've got to share Ruth's slides now, so let me start doing that.
Hi everyone. Hi, my name's Ruth Morgan, and I work as a careers advisor, but in a university, and I work for the University of South Wales. So in a nutshell, my role is to help students, and then when students finish their degree and they become graduates, I support them as well at that stage. But in a nutshell, my role is to help them find and then progress into a job or careers that they will enjoy and that really matches them as an individual. So their individual aspirations, values, personality, skills. And an important part of that choice is often linked to the subjects that they've studied. You're not restricted by that subject area. You can really think outside of the box. But often students will say, I want to know what options I've got with my particular degree subject. So it's a good sort of starting point. So I work specifically with students who are studying within the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Science. So it's quite a broad area, lots of obviously STEM related subjects. I've included some of those subjects on the right hand side. It's only sort of scratching the surface, but you can see the variability in terms of subjects within that sort of faculty. So I'm not working on my own. I work with other careers advisors who also have specific responsibilities for the faculties that they work within. But I'm also part of a wider careers team. So I'm part of the employability development team. So the main part of my role is to see students on a one-to-one basis, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. But my team is also involved in embedding employability skills topics within the curriculum, and that could be through curriculum design, but also delivering webinars to students. And those webinars tend to be related to their specific sort of subject area. So we tailor the webinar. So if it's a session on CVs, I'll tailor it to the group of students that I'm working with and the subjects that they're studying. We also offer an employability award called Grad Edge that students can work towards. Another part of the team are the placement team. Now they support students find and secure work experience. So throughout your degree, you might be looking to do a summer placement or a year out in industry, or you might be looking for something shorter term or even volunteering. So we've got a whole team that supports students who are looking to find and secure work experience. And also we have a student enterprise team. So they provide one-to-one support. They will link you up with entrepreneurs through their mentoring scheme. They run enterprise events competition to support students who are thinking of starting a business or maybe going freelance. So part of a much wider team. And this sort of type of team, if you like, will be replicated in whatever university you go to. Okay, so just let me give you an idea of the types of support, the one-to-one support that I give students. So this could be through one-to-one appointments, and of course more recently through Teams. We also have a service called Ask a Question, where students can sort of get advice or information online, or if they want to get their CV checked, they can send attachments. So we're pretty flexible in the way that students can access the support that's available. So I've put it into sort of 4 neat areas. So obviously helping students really explore their options. So just looking at career ideas, looking at them as an individual and their interests and skills and values, and really helping them to connect up with what's out there in terms of the graduate job market, and then making it happen. So in helping them research and plan the next step. The other part of what I do is to help students and graduates with things like personal promotion. So that could be through a CV or LinkedIn profile, or it could be those tricky questions that you get in applications, personal statements for postgraduate applications. So I help quite, a lot of students use that part of the service. And then later on, when you get through to the interview stage, We help students prepare for interviews, offer practice interviews, and other things like support with assessment tests, which are sort of commonly used in the recruitment process by employers. And then lastly, helping you find your opportunities, particularly opportunities in your field of interest. So it's tailoring that job search, so understanding what sources you can use to find out about opportunities, being proactive in your job search, targeting employers, and also then, you know, for some students, they want to go on to do a master's, so it's just linking them up with masters in their particular field of interest. So lastly then, I'm just going to look at 2 slides which looks at more of the sort of links that we have with employers and why those links are so important. So yeah, we have strong links with employers, and it's really essential for the career service for us to keep up to date with the job market, to be up to date with things like sector trends and also the recruitment process. We also help employers promote opportunities to our students and graduates. So we have a vacancy system called Career Connect, and also employers like to meet our students and graduates either through on-campus visits and presentations or virtual visits, as we've had the last 18 months. And obviously coming on campus for career fairs and career events. So the last slide, I just want to give you an idea of the sort of events that we offer students. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for students to meet employers on campus and virtually. Sometimes those events are related to specific subject areas or specialise to a particular sector. Sometimes employers will run skills sessions, and we have a big annual career fair that happens every year. We have 60+ employers, so that's our sort of flagship careers fair. And as I mentioned, these sorts of support, links with employers, you will find that whatever university you go to, you'll get the same sort of level of support and experience. So that's me. That's what I do, and part of the team, and what the career service does to support students at university.
We are going to have a look at now specifically what STEM careers are available in Wales. We live in Wales, you're in school in Wales, you may go to university in Wales, and I think it's important to sort of think, you know, if I want to stay local, I want to stay near my family, or I want to stay within Wales and maybe use Welsh in my job in the future as well, what is available. So you'd be surprised actually how amazing some of the STEM opportunities are in Wales, and some of the sort of firsts. I know we've got the first ever compound semiconductor cluster in Newport. We've got some excellent engineering and technology up in North Wales. I know we've got the nuclear power station. There's loads and loads of things around Wales that you may never be aware, not be aware of until you look into it. So some really interesting things. So hopefully Rhys and Angela are going to talk about that, and Ruth as well. So Rhys and Angela, if we talk about that first, and then we'll pass over to Ruth, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So as Ruth and Natalie have just said, Wales needs more geneticists, therapists, chemists, engineers, nurses, skilled technicians, textile technologists, marine biologists, doctors, accountants, etc., etc. Okay, so there's many, many more. If I can just share my screen at the moment. Okay, so as was mentioned previously, I work in the Swansea area, and these are the current priority sectors in Southwest and Mid Wales. So a lot of those sectors are STEM reliant. So STEM can take you in many, many different directions, whether it's, I think Natalie mentioned before, aerospace. It could be engineering, computers, health and medicine, textile industry, science careers, etc. Okay, so those the priority sectors in Southwest and Mid Wales are advanced materials, manufacturing and energy, tourism, leisure and retail, finance and professional services. So you might think along the lines of accountants, for example, creative, digital and ICT, health and social care, construction, food and land management, and the public sector. It's important to note that university is not the only option. So people with STEM skills are in demand at all levels, from apprentice and technician levels upwards. Now, I thought what I would do by way of example is just give you a quick demonstration of the Careers Wales website. Okay, so this is the Careers Wales website, careerswales.gov.wales. So that's the home page. If you scroll right down to the bottom, there's one really useful feature which I'll touch on, job information. Okay, so this will let you search for different types of jobs, either browsing by A to Z or by industry or by subject. So if we're thinking of STEM subjects, you can see you could click on biology, for example, or chemistry, etc., engineering, etc. Okay. You can also search by industry. So if I clicked on engineering, just by way of example, it will give you an idea of all the jobs in Wales linked to engineering. Again, I'll choose civil engineer as an example, but you could do this for any career. First page then gives you a snapshot in terms of what a civil engineer might earn in Wales. It also tells you what a civil engineer might do. It also gives you information about how many job openings there are, future demand. After I've done all my studying to become a civil engineer, will there be a lot of future demand and a job for me? How to become. So that's talking about the final step in terms of planning and how to actually become a civil engineer. It also mentions things like skills and qualities. Now, we'll be touching on these later with Angela. But these are skills and qualities which are going to be required for not just civil engineering, but you might say, like someone said earlier on about transferable skills, these are often skills that you might need for other jobs as well. Relevant subjects. Really good section on the side there is called related jobs. So these are jobs that you might not have thought of before. So you might have heard of a civil engineer, but you might not have heard of a BIM manager, which is a building information modeling, or a CAD drafter. So these are just helping you to explore the possibilities of all the different STEM careers that are out there. And if you clicked on CAD drafter, for example, you would come up with the same information. So future demand in that case is low. So that's just by way of example in terms of how you can find out a lot more about the STEM careers and where certain subjects, for example, might take you in school. What STEM careers are in demand in the future, how much you could earn, and what they actually involve as well. Angela, I don't know if you've got anything to add there.
Not really. My next point was going to follow up on what Rhys said about the skills. So really, I'm going to just share a little bit of information about the website as well, but I'm going to take you to another part of the website. Fel o'n i'n deud, mae Rhys wedi dangos I chi yn barod sut I ymchwilio wahanol adrannau o waith, wahanol swyddi ac yn y blaen. Ond rwan dwi'n mynd I dangos chydig bach I chi am y sgiliau sydd angen I wneud y wahanol swyddi. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, hopefully. See, there we are. Okay, so what I've got now is another part of the website. Maybe we can share the link to this in a little bit later on. This is quite good for those of you who are considering at what point you are in your school study, whether or not it might be preparing for GCSE or possibly A-levels. And as you can see, there are subject posters referring to lots and lots of the different subjects that you might be interested in. This covers all, not just STEM related subjects. But what I think is quite interesting with these is it highlights a little bit about what subject can lead to in the future. So if we were to, for instance, select one particular, okay, so chemistry. As you can see, what comes up is a poster that tells you a little bit about chemistry and the careers linked to it. So I'm just taking this as an example. The good thing about this is it doesn't matter whereabouts you are in your studies. It can give you an idea of what you can use, and also what you can use chemistry for. And also, as you can see, the lists are at slightly different levels. I mean, there's some quite high-end jobs there, you know, that will require a university degree, but also it tells you about the other, maybe more simpler jobs that you might not have thought about that chemistry would be involved in. For instance, maybe any of you who might have thought that hairdressing wasn't a STEM career. In actual fact, it is, because chemistry and science are quite important for careers like that as well. But what is interesting is you can see that also it links it to the skills that you will learn. Skills like problem solving, interpreting data and information, reasoning ability, the ability to carry out experiments, and the ability to think logically. The good thing about those skills there is that actually they are very, very similar to the other skills that are listed in quite a few of the other STEM subjects. So if I can give you another one, for instance, engineering, let's have a look at engineering. As you can see, yet again, engineering is a subject you can take at school or at college. Yet again, it gives you a good list of the kind of careers you can use this qualification for. It tells you about where you could work. So it even gives you areas of work where engineering could be useful. And again, it gives you the skills that you need. Teamwork, technical design, working under pressure, problem solving. So as you can see, quite often the same skills come up. And as Natalie was saying earlier on, these are all transferable skills. So quite often the skills that you build up when you're studying a STEM subject, they're the kind of subject that the skills that you can use in any STEM subject or towards any STEM career, really. The other thing that's quite important is, as was mentioned before, it's things like the other ways that you can build up skills, not only through studying of the subjects. It's more to do with the work experience that you might get a chance to do at some point. It could be the industry days and the enterprise days, or employer visits and careers events and activities that take part in your school. That could also help you with things like skills and building up those particular skills. So it's quite interesting to see that the skills that are needed, if you spend a little bit of time looking at these posters, you'll be able to see that the skills are very transferable on all of the different posters. So that's just a brief example. If you want to take a little bit of time yourselves to have a look at that, the information there is really, really important and very useful. And of course, on the list, you can see the different jobs. Then you can go into where Rhys has mentioned and make a little bit more, do a little bit more research into these different jobs to find out more about them. Okay, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you, Angela. So yeah, we were going to have a chat about skills, and I think the interest is point at the moment as well, especially for year 7 pupils who are going to be starting in September and looking at the new curriculum, and that's going to be introduced across the year groups obviously over the next few years, which is very skills based and very, very good for developing skills for STEM areas. So something we'll chat about before we leave. We've also, obviously, if you've got any questions, then we can forward questions to our speakers today, or we can ask them today if you wish. So I'm just going to pass over again to Ruth, who's going to continue. Shall I share your presentation again, Ruth?
Please, yes, thank you,
continue
Laura.
looking at jobs.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to sort of reassure you really that it's a really exciting time, and there's a huge demand for people who've got STEM related, the study in STEM related subjects, or have got the sort of skills that employers are looking for. So I just want to focus on that a little bit more and tell you about some new developments in this sort of job market. So the future is really bright. And graduates in science, technology, engineering and maths are critical to the UK economy. And the good news is that research suggests that jobs are expected to grow at double the rate of other occupations, so that they're estimated 142,000 jobs being created between now and 2023. The other good news is that UK STEM graduates earn nearly 20% more than their peers. So all good news. So I just want to look at perhaps some of the changes that are driving this demand for the STEM skills and STEM careers. We're at the sort of cusp of what's called the fourth industrial revolution. So these are new technological breakthroughs in areas such as AI, artificial intelligence, biotechnology. It's now all sort of pointing in the direction of signalling a fourth industrial revolution. So that's characterized by a fusion of technologies such as AI, gene editing, advanced robotics, and there's a blur in between the physical, digital and biological worlds. So it's a new world in terms of opportunities. And it's estimated that more than 65% of children entering primary school today will end up working in completely new jobs that currently do not exist. So these changes will generate new areas of work that perhaps you wouldn't be aware of currently. Okay, so just to have a look at some of the areas that are growing. So things like big data, machine learning, the green economy, health technology, cybersecurity, robotics. You know, these are all areas that are currently in demand and growing. And again, I've just scratched the surface here. This is just a little snapshot of some of the areas that that seem to be very much on the radar in terms of demand. To help you really explore opportunities that currently exist for graduates, there's a brilliant website called Prospects. And there's sort of 4 areas that I think would be really helpful for you. So I've given you 4 deep links to those specific areas for the Prospects website. So the first one is the job profiles, which you can browse by sector, or you can use the A to Z. It's such a broad area, STEM careers, it's really difficult for me to sort of encapsulate and say, right, you know, you can do A to Z. I think it's better for you to explore these careers yourself. So this website enables you to do that. There are also sector profiles. So not only can you look at job profiles, which will give you information on, well, what is that job all about? How do you get into it? What's the salary? What skills do I need? Who are the typical employers and vacancy sources? The sector profiles will add another layer of information. So again, it's looking at sector trends and additional information that's all going to be really useful for you. I also think it's good to do what I call go career shopping. So just have a look at some vacancy sources currently, just to have an idea of the different types, breadth of jobs that are available. So again, if you go onto the Prospects website, you can search for graduate jobs under different sort of categories. So whether that's sort of engineering, whether that's within the health sector, you'll be able to drill down and find jobs that are currently advertised. So it'll give you information on the role itself, the employer, things again like salary, their selection criteria, what are they asking for, what degrees are they looking for, what sort of skill set are they looking for. So that will build your knowledge of not only what's out there in terms of jobs, but also what employers are asking for in terms of skills and subject areas as well. So lastly, there's a great link which is called What Can I Do With My Degree? So if you're thinking of doing, say, a maths degree or an engineering degree, you can look at that link and it'll give you an idea of careers, graduate jobs and careers that relate to that subject area. It's not a definitive list, but it's a really good starting point to help you make sense of what's out there in terms of careers and opportunities. So yeah, have a look when you've got the time, have a look at the Prospects website. It's a brilliant website to just to start exploring what's out there and some brilliant opportunities that are available. Okay, so these are some other resources, STEM.org, Women in STEM, so initiatives and resources specifically to encourage women into the STEM careers. And there are specific STEM recruitment sites. It doesn't cover all of the STEM career areas, but, you know, in terms of Grad Cracker, for instance, it'll cover things like engineering, aeronautical engineering, civil, chemistry, and so on. We'll have a quick look at Grad Cracker in a moment. And then similarly, STEM Graduates is a designated recruitment site specifically for graduates who are looking to get into STEM jobs or STEM graduate schemes. Okay, so let's have a look at Grad Cracker now then. Grad Cracker, so this is one of the UK's careers website for STEM students. So let's have a look at, if you click onto Grad Cracker, what you'll see. So you can search for graduate jobs, but you can also search for summer placement and sandwich placements. You can also look for employers under the company hubs. You can look at sectors A to Z. So the view that you've got there, you can see it covers things like aerospace, chemical processes, civil building, computing, technology, electronics, maths, mechanical engineering and science. So you can filter that search. Say if you wanted to go into aerospace, you could filter it by looking at maybe a specialism within aerospace. You could filter it in terms of whether you're looking for a graduate job or replacement. And again, you'll be able to have a look at some live vacancies. So it'll give you an idea again of the types of companies out there who are recruiting STEM graduates or STEM students for placement opportunities. It'll give you the full advert, you know, a little bit about the company, a little bit about the opportunity, information on the sort of students they're trying to attract, you know, possibly in terms of subject areas, and also in terms of the sort of skills that they're looking for. So again, it'll build up your knowledge of the job market, but again, in terms of skills development, what employers are looking for, and you'll have plenty of opportunity to develop those skills whilst you're at school or in college, or if you decide to go to university, and through jobs, you know, work experience. You'll be building up sort of transferable skills, all of which you'd be able to sort of showcase in any applications you make in the future. So as I say, and that's just a little sort of snippet. I mean, that if you wanted to look at STEM careers, say within the NHS, the NHS have got a fantastic, they've got NHS careers. So it really does depend on the area that you have an interest in. But I think probably the Prospects website is the best starting point because it covers a broader range of careers, and you can search in terms of subject areas, but also in terms of your interests as well. So the job sector one is probably a really good sort of starting point.
Yeah, they look really interesting. I wish I'd known about them when I was a graduate all those years ago. There you go. Okay, so if everyone else wants to join us again with our guests on camera, that'd be brilliant if you're still there. Hopefully. Thanks, guys. This has been really interesting for me, and I'm hoping when we're going to make sure we send this out to teachers specifically so they can share this, and parents as well. It's really important that everyone is sort of informed to support their children and going into careers. So the last talking point that I wanted to sort of discuss with everybody is, what are these key skills and what are these transferable skills that we're talking about for STEM careers in particular? So obviously we picked up some of the posters and they've sort of cropped up as we've sort of gone through all this information. So things like problem solving are a big one, I think, in STEM, but in all jobs as well. So obviously they're not just going to be STEM only, and maybe data handling and handling numbers and numeracy. other things I picked up, computing skills and technology skills now. So even if you're not going into a computing job, you know, that says computers in it, most STEM jobs now, whether it's engineering based, maths, chemistry, you're going to be using computers. So you need to be sort of happy with computers. Oh, something went funny there. So any things, you know, key skills that you think we should particularly highlight for STEM? If we want to go around, who should we start with? Rhys, he's nodding away.
Yeah, just a couple of points really, and something you just mentioned there, Laura, in terms of it's not only STEM employers that want STEM skills.
Right.
So if you have got those STEM skills, like problem solving and numeracy, etc., can be used in lots of different careers as well.
Yeah.
And the second thing I would say is that, like Ruth mentioned about, you know, maybe school leavers today, there'll be different jobs, you know, in 5-10 years times, that there'll be jobs around that don't exist yet.
Exactly.
So this is why having those skills is really important. But more importantly, is the ability to have those skills, but also keep those skills up to date. So continuously learning, continuously being able to adapt basically your working life, because things will change as you go through your working career. You will have to adapt to different technologies, different, you know, look at the things we've had to do in the last year or so.
Exactly what I was
you
thinking.
know, and you know, even speaking in my own career. So before I was a careers advisor, I used to work as a land surveyor in the civil engineering industry, basically.
Okay.
And I could say in the 30 years that I worked as a surveyor, where we started off with, you know, almost no mobile phones and very limited internet, to where we were when I finished working in as a civil engineering surveyor, where we had building information modeling and real-time updates of building site plans, and, you know, all these sorts of communication technologies that have developed over that time. It's been able to adapt to those things, which is going to be critical in the future for anybody going into STEM, and for any career for that matter.
Yeah, definitely. Natalie, what do you say to your students who maybe need to develop their confidence? I think communication skills are a big thing, aren't they?
Definitely.
So what can you say?
Yeah. Obviously, I work with lots of employers as well, and place lots of students on work experience. And I think the same key skills, employability skills, seem to come up all the time from employers. So they're looking for, as you just mentioned, Laura, communication skills, organizational skills. You know, you need to be organized, possibly attention to detail, teamwork, presentation skills. So, you know, obviously when I am working with students who may be lacking confidence, those are things that we practice. So we'll practice the mock interviews where, you know, they have to communicate and they have to present. We'll talk about in detail what employers expect when you're applying for a job and the recruitment process. But yeah, we mentioned transferable skills, and those are probably, you know, most of those transferable skills that employers are looking for. So I think, Ruth, you'd agree, you're constantly nagging our students about, you know, putting their key skills down on their CVs. So what do you think I've missed out there, Ruth?
Well, I'm trying to fill the gaps. I think you've covered a lot of ground. I mean, I think, you know, along with the sort of specialised skills, like creative thinking, problem solving, analytical thinking, it's about people skills, it's about being able to manage tasks, it's about working in collaboration in teams. I also think a big one is mindset, is having that sort of positive mindset. And there's talk of something called a growth mindset. So that's openness to sort of push the boundaries in terms of your learning and learning new skills. And a lot of STEM related careers, they will require you to master that sort of specialism, to continually sort of develop your skills and knowledge of that particular area. And I think, you know, the passion to make an impact, the passion to improve the quality of something, or a better and new way of doing something.
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive area for STEM and engineering at the moment, sort of the green agenda, and how can we make things more economical, how can we make things less polluting and that sort of thing, and that's all in the STEM area and engineering specifically. So really important.
Yeah, sorry, Laura, I'm finding a lot as well. What I will see on job specs is employers asking for, as Ruth mentioned, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurial,
Yes, it's all that ideas and enthusiasm, isn't it?
Yeah,
and sort of thinking of new things, new ways to solve problems.
Yeah, solving problems.
Yeah. Angela, anything you want to add to that? Because I'm aware of the time. We've hit 4 o'clock, so we need to round up. But anything you want to add before we finish?
I think probably they've mostly been covered already by everybody else. One thing I think is important is resilience. I know whether or not you think it's a skill, but I think especially in the current market where things are changing so much, and we've already talked about adapting and so on, but resilience is important because throughout your career's life you're always going to get letdowns. And I think being resilient and being able to get back up and keep trying is very, very important. It's how you're going to have to live your life, really. It's just being able to deal with that kind of thing and to move forward. So that's just one other skill I think is particularly important.
Definitely. I think we've been talking about sort of looking at jobs and applying for jobs as well. So when if you're the older students and looking at applying, if you don't get that first job, you've got to keep trying and gain experience each time you have a knockback, whether that's in school or in your career, isn't it? Sort of learn from your mistakes, which is hard sometimes, but there's always something you can improve on, I think. So that's something to keep in mind. Definitely. So resilience. Yeah, we've had something pop up in the chat. So one of the questions we're gonna, if you've all got time to just carry on a little bit, obviously we can send this recording out to other people as well, so it'd be great to answer this question. So we've got 2 questions. So what job in STEM has the most vacancies currently? So what is in demand at the moment? Has anyone got any rough ideas? Ruth, have you got ideas from your graduates at the moment?
I'd have to do some specific research on this a definitive answer, but I would say, a lot of this, there is a shortage of people who got skills for the sort of STEM related sort of sectors. So they, as I was saying earlier, there's a huge demand, there's a shortfall of those skills. And also, there's a premium in terms of those sorts of careers to attract people in usually have a higher salary as well. So I think, the key thing with the prospects link that I've just that will be available is that you'll be able to research, look at, okay, what's in demand, but also what would suit me as well. It's not good just looking at stuff that's going to be in demand. Is how
you've got to want to do the job.
How you link with that. But I would say. And this sounds as if I'm sort of sitting on the fence, but I would need to do some research to be more specific, and I'm more than willing to do that. But I think across the board and it's such a broad area, it's really hard to be definitive to say what is a STEM career, because it's any role or career that uses, science, technology, maths. So. And it touches a lot of different sectors as well. So I'm not going to answer that because I can't, basically.
Anyone else have any ideas of sort of what's really in demand, or maybe even in Wales, in our area?
Yeah, I think the key thing to bear in mind is that a lot of the labour market information we had has been completely disrupted in the last 15 months by what's happened. So you might find a lot of the labour market information we had was before COVID. So COVID might have changed. There might be more increased demand for, say, healthcare or those sorts of jobs.
Yeah, so it can change quite quickly.
A lot of the data might not have come through yet for us to be able to project sufficiently in the future in terms of what jobs are going to be in demand, or accurately at any rate.
Okay. I think, so carry on.
I was just going to say that one of the slides that I showed was the sort of growth areas. which sort of touches on that. You know, we
I was
talked
just
about,
going to say exactly the same thing, because it,
you know,
it really touches on what Technicamps do. Actually, you know, we're here with Technicamps, and we do concentrate on those tech jobs. So the, you know, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, robotics, anything relating to computers, they're only going to be used more and more, as we know, you know, from the development of mobile phones. As Rhys was saying, you know, everyone has the internet in their pocket now, and that was never the thing before, and that's always going to relate back to your work and how you work as well. So I think technology, anything related to technology, is going to be is going to just keep growing, I think.
And also, you know, you mentioned about the green agenda. I mean, you know, climate change, or you know, looking at more efficient ways, you know, to produce energy. So I think that is definitely very much on the agenda, and there's going to be a huge demand for that, and I think there will be sort of money thrown at that sector as well, because it's a challenge that needs to be tackled. So that's
the second part of this question, is which opportunity, it says, which opportunity in STEM on Careers Connect pays the best? So what jobs are going to get you, you know, a good starting salary? I think, as it said on the graduate salaries there, engineering, you know, civil engineering, going in as a trained scientist is going to get you, you know, a good graduate salary to start with. So 25 to 30,000 pounds a year as a starting salary. And obviously, the more specialised you are, the more skilled you are, as we're saying, and the more up to date you are with your skills, you know, the better salary you're going to be able to get in a job. So
I'm just going to give prospects a plug again, because the job profiles that I mentioned, it covers things like salary starting out as a new graduate, and then salary with experience. So you can see the salary banding. I mean, it does depend on region. You know, you get paid more, say, in London. Maybe the size or the sector that you go in. So there's lots of different variables. But, you know, I think having a look at those profiles is a good sort of starting point, and you can make comparisons. But actually looking at real jobs as well. You know, go on to these vacancy sources, which again will be in these profiles. There'll be typical employees and vacancy sources, and you can see for yourself the type of salaries that are available.
Definitely. And obviously, just your starting salary generally, you know, that is going to increase over time, but you've got to start somewhere. You've got to develop that experience, and either increase that within the post that you're in, or, you know, move on and progress in other companies, or, you know, other sectors. So really interesting. Okay, hopefully this has been useful for people who are going to watch this. Anything that people want to finish on? So I think I've learned a lot today, I have to say, and I think the Prospects website and the posters on Careers Wales and, you know, those job searches are going to be really useful for me in the future, talking to classes and talking to groups through Technicamps about, you know, career options and things, because I need to know more. So definitely something for me to look at. So anything anyone wants to add before we sign off?
I would just say use the support that's available. You know, we've all sort of said it in different ways, and that's why we do the job that we do. I don't know about you guys. I love what I do, because I work with students, and hopefully, you know, provide the sort of advice and support that they require at that particular time. And it doesn't matter how many times or when in their education they require that support. You know, and there's so many opportunities. Like, you know, Nat, we have, you know, employers coming on campus or doing talks, and there's some amazing opportunities, and it's just making sure the students are aware of that and actually engage with what's available. So I would say, you know, push yourself out of your comfort zone and go along to these amazing, you know, opportunities, and use the support that's available.
Yeah, definitely. In schools, is that the same sort of advice you would give to pupils in you know, secondary school at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. You know, if they're going on to college, or, you know, if they're moving on to universities, definitely make the most of your time and the opportunities that you're given at college and at university. There's just one other thing which came to mind earlier that I'd like to mention, Laura, and that's also just to anybody watching is don't forget the degree apprenticeship routes as well into STEM careers.
Yeah.
So, I only came across one, I think it was last month now, a really big construction company in South Wales offering a fully funded degree apprenticeship for someone leaving school with A levels. So, those options that are out there. And we've got University of Wales, Trinity St David down in Swansea, who often offer IT related degree apprenticeships as well. Okay, so there are
Technicamps run a degree apprenticeship for software development as well. So there are
just to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you so much. Really, really, really good session today, and thank you so much for taking part.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody.
Bye bye.